Adventure Island is a game created by Hudson Soft in 1991 for the original Game Boy. Wikipedia indicates that this game was an adaptation of the 1986 game called Wonder Boy. I don't know the accuracy of this statement, but it seems that Hudson Soft used to be called Escape, and Escape were the ones who developed the original Wonder Boy. We'll definitely get to a review of that title for the Sega Game Gear. Now, when you begin this game, you know nothing about it other than this caveman with a hat is on a quest to do something. This is probably one of those old-school games that requires the manual to explain things to you. The plot of the game is very staple. You adventure across levels to save the damsel in distress. Is this anything new? Not much really to expand upon there. Now, there are many islands to choose from. Ooh, I want to go to the one where they're crucifying people. And you don't get to pick which order they play them in. Each island has subsections for you to play, increasing the longevity of the game. Now, the controls are solid. When I move the character, nothing is slippery, and nothing requires an extra button press to execute. The D-pad is used to move the character around, and the A button is used to jump. Pretty simple. Controls for the Game Boy are fairly straightforward anyways, which makes the game playable in a way that won't frustrate those that are looking for a little pick-up-and-play action. The enemies in this game, they're lackluster, if not slightly, a little creative. The standard formula for a platformer of this time is to jump on enemies a la Super Mario Bros. If you try to do so, you're going to be met with a certain death. You can't even touch the enemies in this game without dying, and for some of the little if you jump in the air and try to pound on them, they jump into the air to meet you and touch you, resulting in a death. The easiest way to defeat enemies is to crack open an egg at the beginning of each level and get your stone mallet. With infinite ammo with this thing, so to speak, you can kill things all day. What's nice about this weapon is that it isn't a pisser to use and it actually works, unlike in other games where projectiles don't do anything. We had Super Mario Bros. 3 in 1988, which had a variety of enemies to choose from that were very creative, so Hudson Soft had no excuse in coming up with more original enemies that would have made the game a little more challenging, and not prohibitively so. The bosses in this game come at the end of each island, and they're mediocre at best. With some basic effort and maneuvering, you will send them to the bottom of Davy Jones's locker, quite literally, on one stage. Power-ups come in the form of mounts, which act a lot like Mario's Mushroom Expanded form. You can jump about the same height, but your movement speed is vastly increased, and sometimes you get a projectile with the creature, be it a chibi dragon or another type of dinosaur. Now, if this chibi dino looks familiar, that's because it was modeled as such because one of the character designers for this game was Minoru Maeda from the Dragon Ball series. Occasionally, you're going to run into this weird fairy. Use this fairy for around 10 seconds and change, you're going to get invincibility to touch enemies. It's kind of like the star in Super Mario Bros. You will get extra lives from time to time, but really I have found that they are extremely difficult to come by. For a Game Boy title, the music is absolutely solid. It isn't repetitive, and it's upbeat. I like it. I think it gives the game some charm. I would honestly say it's par for the course, even when compared to Mario Bros. Games by Nintendo. If I haven't already mentioned it yet, there is no save feature. Now, for a game for you to pick up quickly and play, that's fine, but with the advent of a battery save function from the NES's Legend of Zelda series, perhaps the idea of putting one in the Game Boy cartridge wasn't really that far off. There's no excuse here, there's not even a password system. The only way to really beat this game is to sit down and play it in one sitting, which may take around 9 to 10 hours, and I don't even know if the Game Boy is going to hold out that long in terms of batteries. That's great for a Game Boy game, but I don't have all day to sit down and play this. Got an AC adapter? Difficulty is like my old electronic circuits course in college. You pass like a prodigy, or you fail hard like everybody else. There's no in-between. I would expect at least to be able to jump on enemies and be afforded an additional hit if I touch them outside their hitbox. Alas, if you spend the time to learn the quirks of this game, I think you'll manage to proceed just fine, Unlike my electronic circuits course, that of an instructor, I'm not on tenure, I don't care if you pass or fail. Well, so much for our future. The game is replayable, but not memorable enough to make you want to harken back to it. The lack of a save feature kills any and all desire for me to want to go back and plug it into my Game Boy. They really should have had a short password system, especially if save features couldn't be implemented yet. So, to conclude this guy, the game isn't bad. It's not fantastic, but it isn't bad for 1991. Although it's cookie-cutter in style, at least Hudson Soft had the intelligence to do it right, unlike so many other bad platformers from Nintendo consoles. The controls are solid, which is absolutely vital for systems like the NES and the Game Boy, and for any console for that matter, actually. Enemies are quirky and take some time to figure out, and they can be dicks, but once you do, you should have no problems finishing this game, which may be a problem to some due to the short battery life of the Game Boy, and you're going to have about 10 hours of gameplay. There are some challenges to find at Adventure Island, but they're really few and far between. Music's fantastic, and again, I can't say it enough, a lack of a save feature kills a lot of re-enjoyment you could have had from this game. RGN gives it a 79.3 out of 100. It's alright. Pick it up if you're looking for a different type of familiar challenge, and if it's cheap, of course, I wouldn't pay over $4